Hello, this is Stuart Anderson with Stuart Davies Gleave. I would like to welcome you to our webinar about using gamification tools to help to encourage travel behavior changes in our communities. Today we're going to provide an overview of how gamification works and how it can be applied to transportation demand management. I'm Stuart Anderson. I've been in the TDM industry for 28 years and have worked in a variety of marketing campaigns using a variety of different methods and tools and messaging. And one of the things that I think is important to recognize is that our messaging changes over time. And this is something I think is important for us to consider. In today's transportation market, we're finding that social media is playing an increasing role in helping us engage the individual in looking at different travel options. In the past, we typically worked through employers to get to their employees. Now there's a greater capability with new technologies and social media to really reach out and to address specific needs of individuals. Just going back a little bit to the messaging idea, we first started to see TDM emerge during World War II. And the concept, as you can see from the posters on our slide here, was be a patriot and share the right to work. And that campaign was successful in getting people to carpool and to help reduce energy consumption at a time when the country was in crises. In 1974, we found that TDM expanded nationwide as the federal government established various rideshare programs across the country. And we found that the message that we were using, again, was about energy, but it wasn't about being patriotic to reduce energy. It was about reducing energy so that we could effectively get around our communities and have enough supply for people to move around. Our lesson learned from these two eras was really that if it's a necessity, people will participate. So moving on into looking at our current commuting population and where we have been effective in reaching out to individuals. Currently across the nation, about half of the commuters are what we might call the WIFMs, what's in it for me. Often individuals are motivated by financial savings, time savings, or reduced wear and tear on their car, anything that might be in their own self-interest. And this can be very motivating, getting individuals to consider alternatives. Typically across the nation, we see about 16% of the population that we might characterize as the greens. In many cases, these are folks that are already using alternatives, but we can't overlook this group. We really need to acknowledge their efforts and embrace their efforts as we move forward. Lastly, about a third of the commuting population are the folks that will not get out of their car. And in order to cause change, a significant amount of incentives and education needs to take place. And in most cases, due to our limited budgets in transportation demand management, we can't effectively spend money on the folks that are a little more challenging to change. We tend to focus on those who will change, and in many cases, it's the group that we would call the WIFMs. So today we're going to talk a little bit about gamification. Gamification as a concept is a tool that can support individual engagement, a trend that we're seeing within our industry. It can use both incentives and recognition through badges to be able to get people to change. In many cases, if an individual were to cycle 100 times during a year to and from work, then they might achieve a certain level of platinum level cyclist, and they can put this icon on their profile. The various incentives and prizes can be used either on a regular basis or on a periodic basis, depending on whether you want to have a challenge every quarter or each half year there's a challenge. So with this, I'd like to turn the time over to my colleague, Craig, who will speak a little bit more about gamification.
Well, thanks, Stuart, and good morning, everyone. My name is Craig Nelson. I'm Head of Digital at Stuart Davies Gleave, and I currently lead our gamification projects over in the UK and the USA. So I just wanted to talk to you about gamification and how it successes we've had and some of the new opportunities that are arising. We feel that through incentives, rewards and friendly competition, it's possible to keep the car driver and the cyclist happy, and we hope that this webinar will show you how. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a brief introduction to gamification and to digital engagement, give you a walkthrough of how gamification can lead towards goal achievement, and hopefully give you an idea of the future of digital engagement and behavior change and the role that gamification can play. So let's move on quickly. So what is gamification? Well, companies such as Nike, Google and Ford have all used gamification in various ways to focus their employees' minds, to motivate customers and engage with a broader audience. Companies such as Strava are also taking it to new levels and creating real-time social leaderboards for cyclists around the world and enabling them to compete against each other and to achieve their own goals. Gamification platforms generally tend to be online and are used by employers, TMAs, regional government organisations, and each will tend to have an end goal in mind. This may be to kickstart modal shift, so to get their employees to try a new mode, to raise awareness of alternative modes which may be on offer, to build team spirit, or to create a healthier population or group of employees. Gamification tends to use traditional game mechanics that we were all used to, either from computer games to board games, such as points, badges, and leaderboards. All these tools are used to implement the underlying engagement models involved to encourage people to achieve their goals. The challenges which we've worked with, or been lucky to work with, favour those who decide that they really would like to make a change, and also to encourage others to do so. So with our system, we tend to allow people to get rewards for referring or encouraging their friends to take part in a challenge. If you take part, even if you try one new trip, you get entered into a prize draw to win a prize such as an Amazon Kindle or an iPad or something like that. And then the leaderboard, which obviously shows the winners and the losers, that tends to deal with the competitive side of things. So there are people out there that just love to be on that leaderboard, and there are others which aren't so concerned about it. So we feel that it's only recently that gamification has been used to help encourage behavior change. It's quite a new thing with regards to travel behavior change. It's used to help incentivize and motivate staff to try alternative modes, to show how travel costs can be lowered, and also to show just how many miles they use in their car. Some people just aren't aware of it. It helps to show how much money can be saved by showing real-world costs, so costs of fuel, costs of just running a car. It helps improve staff health and well-being, so it can show just how many calories your journey to work you can burn by cycling or walking. And one of the last things is that it encourages team spirit at work, and this is something which has cropped up with our projects and other projects that I'm aware of. It just gets people moving and motivated, and you get departments challenging other departments, and it's really healthy, and employers really like it. So moving on, rewards. So this is a key thing with gamification, and something which we've experimented quite a bit with. We started off with our gamification program of awarding, say, the top 3 people in each medal category. So we'll look to award a platinum medal, a gold medal, a silver medal and a bronze medal, depending on how many points or trips that you've logged. And when we started out, we tend to focus on points. And what we quickly realized was that the cyclists, the really keen cyclists, would dominate the leaderboard and would win all the prizes. And all the people that maybe have made a smaller change, or maybe started car sharing one day a week, or just walking to work, they didn't get as many points, but they just missed out on the rewards. So what we've kind of started to focus on now for rewarding behavior change is to give spot prizes. So even if you take part once and you get a bronze medal, every week you have the opportunity to win a prize, be it cash or as I said before, something like a Kindle, something that motivates people just to give it a go once. Also, if they've been encouraged to do so by their colleagues. We found that in the US that this approach is more successful. And it's still important, we feel, that you can still have a winning team, but just make sure that everyone in the company has the chance of getting a reward or a prize, be it online, be it badge, be it physical prize, but also support those who have managed to combine their efforts and really put to get some effort together to win a team prize. So it's good to keep a balance. Through our experience, we've really found that just focus on those spot prizes, keep people interested, keep people coming back each week. So how does it work? Well, gamification challenges, they tend to be, in our perspective, regional, local, or employee focused. They either tend to focus on a single mode, so you can have a cycling challenge or a walking challenge, or more likely, which is becoming more of the trend, is multimodal challenges. So let's say you walk to the bus stop, you get the bus, and then you walk at the other end. You can get points and rewards for all of the modes that they use. So you're not just focusing on cyclists or the walkers. You can make sure you're covering the people that are using multi-modes, are using public transit, and even teleworking. So people that are working from home, they don't travel anywhere. You just make sure that you're capturing the idea that they're saving vehicle miles and getting rewarded for doing so. They tend to run for about a month. We have one running at the moment, which is going on all summer, and they tend to be supported by traditional marketing efforts. So that might be posters that we can supply to employees and employers, to challenge champions that they can put up in the office, or you can use social media, or you can use a wide variety of email stuff and promotional items, which help you promote the event both before it starts and during the event. And during the event is very important, and we'll touch on this in a second when we look at some case studies. Participants tend to win points per trip. Mileage-based point systems, as I said, so when you get rewarded for racking up hundreds of miles, they just attract the hardcore cyclists. We would thoroughly recommend against that. They're good, if that's the type of thing you want to do, but for more general public, focus on trips. Let's see how many alternative mode trips that they can rack up, and maybe just doing one is something that you should encourage. So with the online feature, there's two things which are key. The first one is to allow the participant to have a really clean and simple to use online personalized dashboard. This will allow them to see how they're doing and also how their colleagues are doing and their organization. It allows them to set up personal goals. So you've got a challenge within a challenge. You can get that person to set themselves some personal mileage goals or trip goals during the challenge period, be it for cycling or walking. And the dashboard should be used to get in touch with other participants, and also so people can add blog posts. And this is one thing we've really picked up on. People like to share their stories about how they've tried a new mode to work. The other side of it is administration. Administration, that side of it is super important because it allows you to monitor how things are going, to monitor the data. There should be an area where you can overview this data. You can download it as a spreadsheet to administer blog posts, and also for the administrator to add their own blog posts or answer any questions that people may have. That's really important. Also to use the data to email participants throughout the challenge, so to send them out encouraging emails, you're 2 weeks in, there's been 3 million calories burned, you're all doing really well, so use that to communicate with your participants. You should also be able to survey users via the website, the online tool, and analyze results. And that's something that we do a lot of. We survey people before they start the challenge, just after the challenge ends, and then 3 months later, so we can monitor the behavior change that the challenge has hopefully had an effect on. So our platform, I just want to kind of talk quickly about how we do things. We've had about 10 challenges so far, about 450 companies engaged, and over 5,000 participants over 2 countries, and this is since 2010. So we kind of had some fun, and you can see some online stats here, some interesting infographics about all the calories that have been burnt and the trees that have been saved and the vehicular miles that have been saved. But we're pretty proud of that, and this is the type of information that we like to share with the participants during the challenge and at the end of the challenge to show that how much they've contributed. Challenges, we feel, if they're pitched right, if they're done correctly, will attract new adopters to a new alternative mode. Other challenges will favor those who already use alternative modes, but it's important to find a balance. And that's normally met through using a flexible and motivating point system, as I've already kind of discussed. Try and make it really fair for everyone so they can win a prize. So we found that a mixture of single mode challenges, multimodal challenges has allowed us to be quite successful and to get people engaged. What I'm going to do now, if it's okay, I'm going to talk you through one of our challenge sites which is currently live. Now Peterborough, if you haven't heard, and excuse you if you haven't, but it's a town in the United Kingdom. And they decided to use our gamification platform for their Travel Choice Challenge. Now this challenge is supporting a 3-year sustainable transport behavior change project. And this is the second time that we run this challenge. It's multimodal, it's running for 1 month, and the goal is for people to swap a regular car-based trip for an alternative mode, and also to encourage others to do so as well. We're also asking folk to blog through the challenge chat function, and the best blogs will win prizes. Winners are randomly drawn. There's no overall winner. The leaderboard there is for competitive, to look after the competitive people, but you just have to take part to be within chance of winning a prize. Now, I'm just going to close this down, and I'm going to go straight to my web browser, where we're going to have a look at the Travel Choice Challenge website. So it's a pretty simple website. You've got a nice clean interface. The home page gives you everything you need to know. It tells you some highlights about the project. It's got a feature here where you can save your frequent trips. You can see the challenge stats, so there's all these people signed up, how many calories have been burnt, the emissions saved, that type of thing. Nice clear information for Twitter, because the client likes to use Twitter to talk about their travel choice project. You've got a mini user leaderboard here, and you've got a nice clear button on how to sign up to the challenge. Now this homepage looks slightly different before the challenge started. It was more focused on encouraging people to sign up. But we have a very simple sign-up form here. I'm just going to load this up now. So the sign-up form allows the user to create a new username. It allows them to sign up to an organization. So when you first sign up, you can say, okay, I want to be part of my organization's team, or you can sign up as just an individual challenger if you so wish. So let's say I wanted to sign up as part of a team. I go down here, and then I can choose my team, say Anglian Water, and then let's see if any of my departments are taking part. So asset management is taking part. If none of your departments are in here, or your organization isn't here, you can register them here and now, and they get added to the list. And then you also get added as the kind of company champion. You create your username and password. It's all pretty normal stuff. Your personal details. We like to collect a few things such as age and weight, so we can work out the calorie burn. But this isn't mandatory, and you can go and change it later. If you lose weight throughout the challenge because you're biking everywhere, you can go and change your weight. It's not a problem. And here where you can add who you were referred by, so you just give the email address of the person that told you to take part in the challenge, and that person will get 10 points, and then you can do the same. And then we create a little questionnaire, a little survey, and we ask people how they travel around, how they normally travel, and then after that we can ask them how their behavior has changed since the challenge. You can add a profile picture, and then you can sign up. I'm already signed up, so I'm just going to sign in, and I'm just going to take you quickly through the system. Remember my password. Okay, and you click login. Okay, so I'm logged in now. I'm just going to shift this page over here, and I'm going to go back to the home page. Okay. So I've been taking part in a challenge since the start, and I've saved 2 of my frequent trips, my commute to work and my cycle to work. You'll see it tells you how many points I get for each, and all I need to do is select a date and when that trip was, and then hit commute to work or my cycle to work. And that's a really simple way of just adding in your trip on a daily basis. We learn a lot from feedback. We need to make the data entry simple. The other way of entering data is super simple here. So you go to my profile, which is essentially your dashboard, and this is where you can select the date of travel. You can choose your walk, cycle, car share, or public transit option, and then you can also say if it's a return trip, yes or no, or you can save your trip, and that's what I've already done. If I want to, I can go and look at my frequent trips here, and you'll see my commute to work and my cycle to work, and I can quickly add them in there. So I have a nice summary page here, so I can check out how I'm doing. People really like this aspect. So you can see how many points you've earned and by what mode, how many calories you burned, carbon emissions saved, car miles saved, and total miles traveled. And then SDG is Steer Davis Cleave, this is my team, and I can see what everyone else is doing as well, so the contribution. I can also see my individual ranking, rank within my company, and rank within my department. If I go to my progress, this is really simple. There's a nice graph, and it will show me when I've added my trips. And this is where I can manage my trips as well. Okay, so you can see all the trips here and the points I've earned. This is really useful for auditing as well, and I can delete some of these if I want. Goals, this is a great feature. Here I have a cycle challenge which is already set up. This is my 56-mile cycle challenge. I want to average 2 miles a day. It's super simple to add a new goal. You can choose a cycle goal, a walk goal, give it a title, the start date, how long you want it to last, and the daily target. And then you add your goal, and importantly, you'll see your progress. So the green bar will move as you add stuff in. Then I can contribute to the blog, and this will show all my blog posts. So this is showing everyone else's blog posts as well, but I can use this to contribute. We've got some good blog posts. People tend to come in every day and talk about how they're doing. Some people just haven't cycled before. And so there's some good user stories here, which are always good news stories. And then my details is where you can go and change your password and that type of thing. So let's go to the Challenge Live feature, which is the leaderboard. It's pretty self-explanatory. This is a live leaderboard, so we can see how people are getting on right now. You can see the points, the rewards, the miles traveled. These are for single commuters. And then if I click on top teams, I can see how the companies are doing. So all these are all registered companies, and the points are worked out as average points per person during the challenge. And then key stats, some nice colourful graphics here to show people who are taking part, just how well they're doing and how they're contributing to the overall challenge. There are other pages which explain how the challenge works, why people should take part. They're all customizable. You'll notice that we've applied a brand to this challenge tool. It can be customized. We can do all sorts of things to make it suit an employer or a region or a local government. Teams just outlines all of the all of the organizations that are taking part. Importantly, and I'll just show you, the whole website is responsive to mobiles and smartphones. So this is a kind of a crude demonstration, but if I move this, the page will change shape, and you'll be able to see here that you could use this on a mobile. It just reformats everything to make it simple for people to use when they're on the go. Okay, so that's a quick demo. If you go to www.travelchoice.org.uk/challenge, you'll be able to get into the challenge itself, and you can have a look. Okay, so we're going to go back to the PowerPoint now. I'm just going to have a little chat to you about how one of our challenges in the west of England. Now this was quite a big challenge. We had over 2,500 people taking part in 2013 during June, so the month of June. And what we did after the challenge, we used a very similar format to what I showed you before, but what we decided to do was to keep on asking the participants how their behavior change was going on and if they were making a change. So some interesting statistics here. 50% of everyone that made a change, the remainder kept using their chosen alternative mode after the challenge. So everyone that took part, half of them kept on their behavior change. So 60% of participants who made a switch continued for at least 3 days a week after the challenge. So this was 3 days during their week that they kept on with their new mode. 62% said they would continue for another 3 months, so this was after the 3-month survey, and 70% of participants stated that the challenge helped them achieve their aims, and that's a really key thing. So this was one tool that they could use to help make their change. And of course, it wasn't the online element, it was also kind of the offline support that we offered, going to employers, talking to them about the challenge, encouraging to take part. Okay. So I want to move to the USA now. This is quite a big project that we worked on for a major employer in Silicon Valley. It's a confidential project, so I can't share the client's name with you. But it was the first time that we did this with a major employer in the US. And it also, apart from the website, it also involved very distinct marketing and communications. So we helped them develop a marketing plan and a communications plan. The client wanted a new way to engage with employees and to promote the various services that they provide. So the employee provided rideshare, they provided access to electric vehicles, shuttles from transit stations. So they had all of these options, but they wanted to help people understand that they were available. So they thought that the challenge would be a great idea. So the idea would be that you could try one of these modes, log it on the system, and take part in the challenge. We use social media. The company had an internal system called Yammer, which they used to communicate about the challenge and encourage people to take part. They wanted a blog, and they wanted to encourage first-time alternative mode users to tell people about the story. And importantly, their goal was to encourage employees to give it a go, to at least try at least one new mode at a time. And give it a go for just at least once during the periods. And it was great because we had people trying to try all of them. And they were like, how can I have access? It was really interesting. So we provided concise marketing and engagement guide for the client, which include all the advice on their messaging and timings for social media posts, and that was leading up to the challenge, during the challenge, and after the challenge. We helped them create challenge ambassadors. So these are employees who would help promote the challenge on the employer campus in Silicon Valley and also online using Yammer. We developed a series of digital and printed marketing materials to support the gamification challenge, and we recommended a weekly prize draw for $50 for each medal category, an overall prize of $500, and 4 spotlight prizes of $250, 3 of $100 for sub-challenges. So the person who cycled the most, the person that burnt the most calories. So there was all these spot prizes and also rewards for really rewarding the people that do cycle a lot and contribute to the reducing vehicular mileage for this organization. We also attended a transportation fair on campus to promote the challenge and just to demo the system and to really get people thinking about the thing coming up. And we provided ongoing support for the award of prizes and engaging with participants. So these are some of the marketing materials that we produced. This was a banner ad that could go online or could be printed. Here you can see it used in a digital perspective. So on the right-hand side, you can see a digital screen, and on the left-hand side you can see how this was used on a simple print format. And we put a QR code, which is just here, so you can scan that with your phone and you'd automatically get registered for the challenge. One of the great things about this challenge is you didn't have to sign up, so any employee that went to the website was automatically signed up and encouraged to register the first trip. So we got rid of one barrier, that was the automatic registration process. And we were lucky enough to do that because we could hook into their employees' internal IT systems to do so. Here's a transportation fair. This was pretty exciting. There was all sorts of different alternative modes and promoters here, including people like Zimride, and there were Peugeot electric vehicles. Here's some bike hire, so you could try a bike, try it up for size, and then order one up to rent. They had barbecue, they had beer, which was really important. So they had lots of food and drink, and it was really inspiring. So we had, as you can see here, some SDG employees demoing the product on laptops and tablets and smartphones. And if you came along and had a demo, you got a reward. So it was a water bottle or a pair of headphones, stereo headphones. So, we encourage people to, before the challenge start, to make them aware of it. Yeah, it was great. So overall, with the challenge, we had 250 people taking part. We had some very interesting blog posts. People were very excited about the whole thing. In some cases, we felt that the employer could have done more with the marketing materials that we gave them. We really did suggest that they had a big push on non-online communications and hold more offline comms, make more use of the challenge ambassadors, engaging with different teams in the companies. And we did feel that they could they could have made more use of that, and we would recommend that highly, that not just to rely on online communications tools. So if they run it again, I think they have going to take a different perspective. But for us, working for such a major employer and running this challenge was pretty exciting. And I'll share some of the feedback with you in a moment. So following on, what do people think of gamification? Well, people really like gamification. We've got some interesting quotes here from people that took part. People talk about team spirit. They really like seeing the stats. They like seeing how many calories they've burned and how much CO2 that they've saved, and the overall contribution to the challenge itself. It's really good for that aspect of people are contributing to a greater whole. So people love gamification, and I'm sure many of you know that yourselves. It's something which is really happening. People love to collect data about themselves, be it on their phones, via their Jawbone wristbands. It's something which is really catching on. This is the blog from our employer in Silicon Valley, and we had Sarah up here. She's tried 5 of the 10 listed ways to commute to work, and she was looking for a motorcycle or an electric vehicle she could borrow, so she could hit all of the options. There's another guy here. He really liked the fact that when he carpooled, he could chat to his friends, he could have a rest, he could really look at how much gas he was saving. And importantly, people talk and share their experiences, and when they're in a car together, anything but work. It's a space for people to talk to their colleagues and just to communicate whilst they're car sharing and carpooling. So Beth was a really big fan of looking at how many calories she'd burned, looking at the statistics, how much carbon emissions she saved. And finally, she posted a really sweet post thanking everyone for the challenge. And she was amazed at how many miles she'd saved and how much carbon she'd saved. And again, it picks up on the camaraderie on the bus. And she really enjoyed the fact that it improved her personal health and the planet. So it's good to get this feedback, and it's all public so people can see it. So the future. This is something at SDG which we're always looking at. We're constantly evolving our gamification platform, and one of the next steps that we're going to do is we're going to look at apps and how we can collect data through apps. And one of the things that we're considering is not setting up an app which is particularly for our platform, but maybe hooking into all of these apps which are already being used. And I've mentioned Strava, and also companies like Map My Ride. We've got an audience there. There's people out there who are using these tools. There's people out there using Uber and Karma and all of these rideshare platforms which are creating all of this data. We feel that it's not necessarily a great idea to give someone another app which is just going to sit on their phone. Why not hook into these existing apps? And we've been speaking to Strava about how we can do this and how we can create online medals and create a wider community for gamification. Just by hooking into people's accounts and getting them to share their data, it can all be done automatically. Another thing that we're thinking of doing is adding kind of enhanced incentives. So the points that you earn, you can swap for tokens and vouchers. So for example, if you rack up 300 journeys during the challenge, you can get a $20 voucher or something at Gap, or you can get a free coffee at Starbucks just for taking part. So bringing in other businesses, and when you do these things locally, you can bring in local businesses as well. You don't have to rely on the Gaps and the Starbucks, but you can hook into smaller community businesses and get them to contribute to the gamification challenge, and perhaps contribute to the running of the challenge and sponsorship, get their logo on the sign-up form on the website. But we really like this idea where you can exchange points for other prizes such as vouchers, and build on that idea of community-based challenges. We're currently going to be using the platform to promote new transit lines in King County in Washington. This is a new way that we've used gamification. They just want people to try this is called the F line. It's a new route. So they're going to use gamification platform to promote the F line and to get people to use it. If you use it, log your trip, you could win a prize. We're using lots of traditional marketing as well, so door-to-door flyers and posters to raise awareness of this new transit line. And the gamification element just fits in beside it and runs alongside it and provides this online engagement tool, which is great. We talked about daily commute apps and websites such as Strava and Map My Ride. Let's just hook into these. Let's just make better use of what's out there instead of creating yet another app to have on your phone. We're also using the system for employee trip logging and administration. So we're working with a major employer in Los Angeles where we tweaked the system slightly to be an internal system, and you log your daily trips, be it carpooling, cycling, or walking. You accumulate points, and then you can take those points and then print off a voucher where you can spend it in a store. And this will be used to purchase trips to Disneyland, to buy flights, and originally this was a paper-based product, and now it's gone online. So there's lots of things happening, and we also have to be super aware, as I'm sure you've heard, of wearable technology. More people are going to be using smartphone technology on their wrist and in their clothes, and if we can pick up on all of this data to help encourage travel behavior change and to engage people more in trying alternative modes, I think it would be pretty successful. But yeah, to summarize, it's a very young business. We're still working out the best ways to doing it, but we're evolving, and I think we've had some good projects and we've got some good products. But yeah, so if you're interested in getting in touch with me to discuss anything here, I'd be happy to do so. But for the time being, I'm going to give you some takeaways. So there's two things which I'd like you to do. Have a think about how you could apply gamification to your organization. Consider your long-term TDM goals, and how you could motivate your staff or employees to achieve those goals. Also, consider how you could deliver a challenge. You may have picked up that there's a lot of resources required, not just a website, but you have to think about internal resources, champions. Can you get your marketing team to get on board and help promote this internally? Could you encourage your staff to become ambassadors? I'm pretty sure you can. There's lots of people within organizations that are keen cyclists and transit users. What about running transportation fairs to promote all of these things and also to promote your online gamification challenge? So there's two things for you to think about. And again, if you have any questions, if you have any thoughts, please get in touch. Thank you very much for listening.